you're lying to yourself. Don't ever tell yourself, I have so many great ideas. I have so many. Dude, listen. Your idea ain't shit until it's a great idea, and a great idea is proven.
I got to tell you, there's an amazing kind of component to a question and answer show, because you never know what's going to be thrown at you. And you also never know what direction Maurice or John or even I will take the conversation. So once again, we experience an amazing kind of plethora of information when we were in person at the Q&A around the Arnold. We decided to go ahead and take some questions from social media to kind of change it up for you guys. I can't wait for you guys to listen to this show. I think there's some really, really good feedback, some harsh feedback at times, and some really quality advice. So let's get going. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Business and Biceps. And you better wake your ass up, because on today's show, we're going back to Q&A. We got some amazing questions from all over the board, from social media, and we're going to warm up with some really good advice today, I think. I want to hear what John Fosco and Maurice Claret's advice is, because these are some smart motherfuckers if you ain't heard of these two guys. That's all I got to say. I'm bringing the show real out the gate, letting you guys know that the two other guys on the line are going to lay it down today, and I'm just going to add my 2 cents as we go along. Are you guys ready? Are you guys
Corey,
ready?
Corey, stop being so fucking humble. Hey, there's 3 guys on this line that do the best we can do every week, twice a week, to bring knowledge. So don't exclude yourself, my friend.
Of course not. Reese, you there?
Oh yeah, I'm here. I just what the problems I have, I always like do shit in the background, so I've learned to mute the microphone.
What do you mean? Like clearing your throat, Reese?
Yeah, I drink water, be fucking moving chairs, and so
I'm just messing with you.
Out of respect of the listener, so you don't won't be disrupted by my fucking childish behavior. I mute the microphone.
But see, this is why I love the podcast, because you just got back on and was totally honest of why I couldn't hear you, which is perfect. All right, so hey, the podcast, Business and Biceps, by the way, top 10 iTunes business podcast, is brought to you by Boston Sword and Tuna. You must shop at shop.bstseafood.com, and your promo code is BIZ, B-I-Z, BIZ, 15 to get 15% off from our homeboy, Mikey Scola. And of course, if you want to have that watch looking dope, if you want to be looking good when you go out, check out Vincero Collective. I'm going to spell it for you just in case you don't know how to spell it. It's VINCERO collective.com/biceps, and you can use the code biceps for 15% off. And actually, we already have listeners using the code, and they've been tagging me in the pictures, which is super dope. So we're excited you guys are supporting who is supporting you. All right, so today we talk about Q&A, but I want to let Reese have the floor real quick. He had a really cool experience with a pretty big-time celebrity. Maurice, a big-time celebrity himself, but he had a real good experience that just happened yesterday. I want Reese, go ahead and just let everybody know kind of your experience with Demi Lovato. Is that how you say it?
Demi.
Yeah. Look at me, dude. Yeah. I'm tripping. Go ahead.
No, it was a great day in general. So yesterday, just to show you how busy it was, I was up at 4 a.m. And the first thing I did was I spoke to the University of Pittsburgh's football team, and that was a deal within itself. It was one of those things where the circle of life life had just came full circle, and the lady who was actually at Ohio State that was in charge of the compliance office who suspended me. She was now the athletic director at the University of Pittsburgh. Wow. And to have somebody go through suspending you and to have like so many hateful feelings towards something, and then to mature and understand that she was trying to do nothing more but protect the university and get me to do what I was supposed to be doing, and to have her bring me in and just to talk about that and just to talk about life after football and success after adversity, that was real cool. And also there's a large part of Pitt's football team, the coaching staff rather, that is from Youngstown, which are the head coach and a few assistant coaches, and that was cool. And from there, I flew down 3 hours to get with Demi Lovato, and I didn't know too much of what she sung or who she was as an artist, and I knew the Frozen song because my daughter loved the whatever Frozen was, let it something, let it go, let it grow,
please sing it. John knows it. John knows it by heart.
Let it go. Yeah, let it go. It's something like
let
that.
Let it go, Corey. Let it go.
Yeah. But this was, I tell you, this was cool because she had reached out, or one of her team members. She didn't do it personally. They reached out, and she goes around, and she's obviously had problems with addiction and depression, and she said that she's been diagnosed with having a bipolar disorder. But what she does is before the show, people purchase tickets for like a pre-show deal where it's maybe between 150 and 300 people, depending on the size of the venue and where they're at. And basically these people pay to come in here, open and honest conversations about that, being vulnerable. And for me, I was like, you're a fucking celebrity. I didn't know she had, you got 66 million followers on Instagram. We live in the space where, being cute and cool and important and like you don't have a glitch or a fucking accident in your life. We live in that phase where everybody wants to look cool. And when she came in there, and just from the tone being set and the people who are around her, I was like, oh shit, this is not like just like some fluffy shit. So she came in, and I didn't realize that she was going to stay for the entire speech or just the entire time of me talking. But we talking, everybody's laughing, she's joking. I've spoken enough to see in people's eyes when they engage, and she engaged, and I'm like, okay, this is like a real deal. And it was just a platform. But after that, questions and answers were served up, and inside that moment, you like, this is a real space and something that she didn't have to do. Like she could have came over there and said, let me take some pictures and give me $300 and get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? But this was it was a total different deal, total different space. And I appreciated it more. And so I'm like an investigative person. So, we go down the hall, and as I'm looking at her team and the people around her, like nothing is real like super celebrity. It's real like just getting prepared for the show, nothing like real super important. Mm-hmm. And I'm just watching the inner workings of everybody who's around. Like, because I've been around, backstages on tours and people like groupie-ish and everything is like real extra, right? And even when she began to perform, I don't like none of her like, I don't want to say that's the wrong word. I didn't know none of her. The truth. Yes.
Yeah, you probably didn't recognize any of it, probably.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know none of, that's right. I didn't know any of her music, you know what I'm saying, other than the Let It Go song. And so when I started hearing the songs and the lyrics, and I was talking to John before this, I was like, oh, okay, I get the lyrics and they match up towards what you've heard about her or what you just experienced. And so I was like, oh, okay. And I started looking at the fans, and as they're singing and talking, I'm like, oh, this is the shit that they connect to. Mm-hmm. Like she's just getting on stage and being herself. And so I just thought it was like real cool. And I thought that, I was like, fuck, she has a fan in me, because I've never seen somebody like, okay, let me intentionally fucking be vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? Like, here we go. She could have got that same money for just saying, I'm going to show up. You know what I'm saying? She didn't have to put that other shit in there. So for me, that was, and it was personal, and she was there, and it wasn't just like, hey, send my crew to fucking talk to you all. You know what I'm saying? So I'm grateful for that. It was a great experience. And she took a picture with my daughter, and they got a selfie. And so my daughter thinks I'm the fucking coolest father ever. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So that was cool.
Risa, is to think that I'm sure it was I'm guessing her initiative to say, hey, you know what am I doing a couple hours before the show? I can impact even more people if I put on this like mini seminar before I perform. That's great use of the venue. It's not like they're charging her more. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. Like that's just a great use of time for a passion project. I really feel that. I think it's cool.
Dude, 1,000,000%. Like she didn't have to, like that's like, so you understand the significance. Like you're there, you ain't got to do this shit. And for the money that's charged,
dude, she's ripping $1 million a show. What I mean, that's at least.
Yes, she can just go hang out, and like she could have just said, "Hey, come and meet and greet me and give me this $200, $300," and it wouldn't have done nothing. But to add that on top of it, and then for it to be personal, you know what I'm saying?
Cool. Well, yeah, like she's using this predetermined, sold out gathering of call it 18,000 people for good before she does her show. And what's amazing when I'm listening to is as I'm going through my head, and I've been to so many shows in my life, so many concerts, I never seen anybody do that.
I was just going to say that, John.
Nobody's said, I have all these people mobilized. I'm going to give them more of me. I think that's really special.
No, I think it's huge, and I love it. I love the idea of it and respect 100%.
Yeah, so one thing, we did shoot a small, probably like 15-minute video after too, just a one-on-one session. So
Hell yeah.
hopefully I'm including her little documentary that she creates. But it was a great deal, my man.
Reese, you think she knew much about your story previously?
No, she knew nothing about
she's
it. You gotta
young,
figure
right?
yeah, she's 25 and she's just a celebrity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you just take yourself into
Yeah.
LA. Nobody knows about what's going on outside of LA.
Yeah.
Yep.
And even when you're in LA, if you're not in Hollywood, you don't know what's going on outside of Hollywood.
Yeah,
You know what I
makes
mean? It's very it's different.
It's like
You know what I mean?
high school, bro. It's like the cool kids again. That's what Hollywood is, straight up.
but you get caught up into that stuff
Yeah.
so she has no reason to know about college football then, not
Makes
college
sense.
football 2002 and 3. You know what I'm saying? So she knows now.
Yeah, no, I bet. I mean, which is awesome. So good job, Reese.
she
What a
knows
great
now.
opportunity to kind of spread just some good knowledge and get an opportunity for your daughter to probably meet one of the people she looks up to. Very cool, man. So that's awesome.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's go to the first question. So first question is from a guy that's very familiar with the show. It's at Dorsey Art on Twitter. We've actually had him on a long time ago, and he's a really good artist. So John's seen his work. I've seen his work before. He actually made an awesome picture for me off a picture that Kyle had taken, painted it, sent it to my house. I mean, this dude does a bunch of stuff for NFL guys. He did actually, Reese, he's done a bunch of Sean Taylor stuff too. He's like, I've seen a lot. He just did a Sean Taylor painting that was amazing. And so basically, here's what his question is. He said, how do you break through the creative ceiling when your business isn't going up but staying the same? I'm an artist, so I'm not your typical business. I don't have your typical business products to sell. So how does he sell more artwork? I'm going to defer to John first because he actually collects art and see what his answer is. And I'd love to hear what you got, Reese, next.
Yeah, so I'm familiar with him. He's been a great supporter of the show, and I'm
Absolutely.
familiar with his art. But to his question, I think the fundamental groundwork is this: that you have to think differently. So if you think you're going to approach your craft or your business or whatever it is you title it that you do, if you approach it the same way, nothing's going to change. So you need to try to radically change your process, how you market yourself, who you paint, how you speak to prospective customers, because people get stuck in routines, and routines are the enemy of growth. So right now it sounds like we got a very talented artist who has amazing paintings, who's in a routine that really just can't burst through the next level.
Yeah.
Well, dude, you got to literally take what you do every day and you got to try to throw it out and say, I'm going to try to start a new process and keep what I do true to myself, but I need to approach it in a completely different manner, because the art isn't the problem, right? The dude's
The dude's
good.
dope, bro.
Everyone knows the dude's good. So we see this a lot, Corey. We've talked about this. There are people with great skill
Yes.
that simply do not know how to put structure around the skill to monetize it. So I would say, okay, you know you're a great artist, keep doing the art part. Now, outside of look at your business in two ways, bro. Art and then business. So I want you to focus more on the business and the mechanics of your business, from marketing to speaking to pitch decks to all these things, because the art you got on lock, buddy. We all know it, and we all want you to win. But just start changing your process on the business side, and you're going to have to experiment, man. Things work, things don't work, but every time you do something that doesn't work, you can check it off the list and say, okay, not going to do that again. And then you're going to stumble upon something that does work. So my general advice is keep doing your art. Now let's segment your business in two places and let's focus on the mechanics of your business and try new things.
Yeah, well, my advice is, one, let me preface this by saying I know nothing about art, so I don't want to act like I do. But the first thing that came to my mind is that if I wanted to get myself out there now, there may be a lot of people who do know him, but then there's a whole lot of people who don't know him, right? And if I was an artist, and this is just my deal, and I control my craft and I can control when I can make a picture, the first thing I would do in the era of vanity, I would find like super famous people, right? And I'll just do free shit for them. And I say, hey, here's my art. Do you like this picture? Can you help me to promote basically my shit? Basically, I'll give you this picture for free. It'd be a fucking elaborate picture. I'll put my fucking all into it. Let me paint it. Let me not become too attached to it and say, hey, I need $1 for this. But I would give it to a celebrity or a famous person and intentionally for them to basically get the word out, right? And so I would look at this as like my marketing budget. I would use my basically physical paintings to give to these people because like if somebody gave me a painting right now of my fucking self, I'm not going to throw it away. I'm going to have it. Hang it. You know what I'm saying?
Post the shit on IG.
I'm gonna post it on IG. I'm gonna look. So I just got these fucking business and bicep shirts, and the fact that I see my face on here, I think is more important, right? So I think.
Hey, but when you said remember we had the logo, and you're like, I don't think my head's gonna fit in there by you and John. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, this is just my advice. You can take it, you can take it for what it's worth, or you can take some of it and say, okay, that may be a halfway idea. But I would imagine I say, hey man, let me spend some time. And with all businesses, you have like a marketing budget, right? And I can imagine if you're not making sales, then you don't have a marketing budget, right? So I would then take my art and I would give it away. Just like if I was a trainer and I couldn't get any clients, I just say, okay, let me work your ass out for free. And if you like it, you could be my client. But if I'm the same thing with speeches, right? Well, when I didn't know how to structure my speeches, you know what I do? I'll speak and I'll say, okay, pay me what you think it's worth. And I'll just give my fucking all. And hopefully that, it has some value. And when I start saying what people pay me, I was like, okay, so maybe I'm worth this right now. You know what I'm saying?
I remember when you used to do that. And I was like, what are you charging? He's like, I just tell him at the end, pay me what you think it's worth. And because you were speaking at churches and other places. And basically one day you might make 800, one day you might make $3,000, right? Interesting business model, Mo.
Yeah, but when it comes to art, just to stick to his question, man, I would do it. I would give it away, and I would say, hey, as a part of this, would you mind posting it on social media with my website that redirects people and advertise what it is that I do? I do self-portraits, I do this, I do that,
Yep.
And maybe the money isn't in the mainstream market. Maybe the money isn't in celebrities. Maybe the celebrities help you to drive more traffic to common everyday people, and maybe the volume of those paintings that don't, take a whole lot of time out of yourself that you can just knock out. Maybe that's the model that you begin to create. So it all comes down to you. Do you like to spend 3 weeks on a painting and create masterpieces, and you want celebrities to do it? But in the art world, I think it's just more people like John, like people who like art, and those people probably will pay top dollar and appreciate stuff. But there's not a whole lot of Johns. There's not a whole lot of people, I would like to believe, that just have a shitload of money, disposable income to spend on it. I don't know. That's just my advice.
What I would say, because I kind of went through a mini process with my man already, where he reached out, hey, I got this idea. I'm gonna hit you with this painting. And I was like, of course, dope. I'll put that up. I posted it as soon as it came in. But I think off your point and John's point, right, is that John says, the structure of how he's doing things needs to change outside of the art part. The process of art is killing it. No question. I agree with that. And Maurice, what you're saying is about giving it away, which I think he does some of that already because I experienced it, but there's no structure around it. So I think that's what seems very like gleaming to me is like, okay, what is look at it like a budget. Okay, my time is the money, right? So Corey's piece that I threw to him, which I think we'll post it up too, so we can just show him some love on B&B because it's pretty cool. It's like Corey's piece that I did, it cost me 7 hours of my life, right? So if that cost me 7 hours of my life, how many can I budget though? How many paintings can I budget per month for that? And then what do I need in return? Because I'm pretty sure that if John, me, or you got that message, we already looked at this dude's stuff at Dorsey Art's Dope, and he said, "Yo, I need you to post this, link that, and I'm gonna hit you with this for your front room." I'd be like, "Of course." And most people will be like that, to Maurice's point, if you can get a hold of them, right? And so I think the structure around when you're giving away, just like me, when I was a trainer and no one knew who I was giving away the workouts for free. So motherfuckers knew I had game. And then when I actually had to charge for it, people paid for it. It's the same thing. It ain't no different, right? So it's just the structure around that could be like a blazer if you figure that out. And then also on top of that, making sure that your menu of services are super outlined.
Yes.
You know the time invested for each one of them, and that if somebody gets tipped off to you from this free art that you gave out, boom, oh, I could have portrait, oh, or there's prints of this one, or I can get that, or there's so many other hustles to it. I think that structure is huge, but I think the entry point is already there. I just think that needs to be tighter, the process of it.
Basically, you gotta figure out how to fucking funnel a sale back to you. That's it.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, and no, the one thing I completely agree, Mo. But the one thing, at least from seeing what this guy does, and I see a lot of this football player he paints,
Yep.
this individual he paints. I think what just hit me is you may want to broaden your horizon.
Yes.
So I'm a Chicago Bulls fan. I may not be a Bobby Portis fan. So if you make a Bobby Portis picture, I'm probably not going to buy it. But if you make a picture at distance, right, without pulling any licenses that you have to pay for, of like clearly the Chicago Bulls on the court, something that a fan of the Bulls, which there are way more of than a Bobby Portis fan, something that a fan of the Bulls could buy, I think you're opening up your market so significantly. So maybe take the focus off individuals if you're in the sports space and go broader so your market is broader.
Yep. No, I think that's amazing advice, because he's killing it on this one area, but you also got to go, in every business, you got to go to some degree where the money's at too. And if for some reason the market's not telling you that the money's in X, you need to look at, hey, can I paint the fucking Masters? You know what I mean? Can I paint a golfer?
Yeah.
Can I, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's good advice, and we appreciate this guy's support. He's been awesome, and the painting's dope. I'm gonna put it up for him. All right, so here's an interesting one, more of a relationship type thing. Our man from direct message from Instagram is Brandon Barton. He said, "What up, G? Here's my question for Business and Biceps. Is it okay to lose friends on your path to success? And what are your thoughts on, do you get new friends who will just push you harder?" I think that's interesting. So either one of you guys go first. It's up to you.
but go ahead, John.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say, I think it's sadly mandatory to lose friends on your way to success, because the odds are your friends aren't successful, right? If you're on your way to success. And as you strive and make the sacrifices that every successful person makes, they are not going to understand it, because they are not in your shoes and they are not pushing the envelope like you are. So ideally, you don't lose friends. But I will just tell you, from a reality standpoint, I don't know anybody who hasn't lost friends along the way, because people misunderstand you. They think you're selfish, and they overlook the fact that you're just trying to improve your situation for a multitude of reasons. And then on the flip side, for the second part of his question, will I find friends that are kind of like-minded if I reach success? Abso-fucking-lutely. Some of my greatest fucking friends, some of the people I can connect with most, are the people who have gone through the same experience that I've gone through. Because a lot of friendships are made from the ability to relate, right? When you're at a level and someone is at a different level, not that you're better or worse than them, but you can't have certain conversations because they don't understand what you've gone through, and you don't understand their being, for example. So it's like ultimately, you will create friends that have gone through the same path and the same sacrifice of close old childhood friends. That hurts, but dude, there's something on the other side. So never, ever, ever find a reason to not push forward and be successful out of fear of losing people, because those people you lose, I don't ever really believe they were your true friend anyways.
Nice.
Yeah.
Go, bro.
I was writing notes down while you were all talking because I just wanted to make sure, because this is important, right? And I feel there's a lot of people who can take something from this, right? And so,
Oh yeah, it's such a dude. It's such a real
yeah,
question.
yeah. So don't look at loss as a bad thing. Like, hey, do I lose friends? Losing is you just have to like be mindful that losing friends is like, that's not a bad deal, right? And the biggest thing is that I always explain, like when you're coming up and you're in high school, and I've said this story 1,000 times, the only reason that you have your friends that you have is basically because you may live in the same neighborhood, you go to the same school, you don't have a choice whether you live on the same block, or you have no choice, and just through dynamics and circumstances, you all are friends based upon that, right? As you get older, interests and priorities change 1,000,000%. And what you want for your life and what your friend wants for his life, and I say that friend with quotations, maybe something completely different. And so then you get to this point like, okay, well, we're not in high school anymore. We're not in college anymore. Our interests are just different. Like, and I can see us starting to part ways, right? And so it's not a bad thing that you part ways. It's just something that has to be done if you're serious about what you're doing. And for the post part of the question, John is 100% right. Like you receive new people, or you get new friends, or people that you affiliate with and associate with based upon your interests, right? It's your character and your interests. That's how you get your new friends, right? And as you start to unfold and become who you're ultimately supposed to become, or who you're trying to become, like the people who have those same interests and that same character, those people just start to naturally live into your life. Like just how Business and Biceps became a part of my life. Just me living my life. I didn't do anything special. I didn't send a fucking email to Corey and John and say, hey, let's do this. Like things just naturally unfolded, and based upon character and interest, like that's it. And so I wouldn't look at like I lost somebody as a bad thing. I would just say, okay, our priorities and our goals are different, and they don't align with who we are on a normal basis. And so the fact that we don't spend time around each other, that's not a bad fucking thing. It's just, hey, you're going that way, I'm going this way. Best of luck to you. Best of luck to me. But the most important thing, I believe, is just developing yourself and not really focusing on like, if I lost somebody along the way, because ultimately all you have is yourself and who are you becoming. You have your story and you're trying to unfold it. So that's just my 2 cents or my advice on the whole situation.
Yeah. So here, I got kind of a different take on this, because this is inevitable anyway. Okay. Let me. When you're in high school, I'm already started telling my kids about this stuff. Just even at 7th grade, where Alex is at, his stuff's starting to matter a little bit, like politics and all that kind of stuff, right? If you, and you guys, I'd love to hear your answers. The 5 people that you hung out the most with in high school, whether it's geographic that you moved, whether it's business, whether it's what interests, do you even talk to them or see them on a regular basis right now?
No.
John?
No. No.
Yeah. I have one, and it's because we still do business together. Dustin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the fucking realization anyway. So that's what I kind of want to get to, is that, I didn't do business and I moved away from where I'm from, as did you guys. And it's like everybody just gets busy and has their own lives anyway. So I didn't when people, and then I haven't really had a lot of this where like, motherfucker, you blew up and you forgot about us. No, dude, I moved away and just started my own life, just like you did. And I didn't go, I'm not your friend no more. If I see you at the grocery store, I'm still going to holler at you. Like, but we're not hanging out on Saturday. That's just, dude, that's not reality when you grow up, especially if you have a business and if you have a family. It just happens. So I never got caught up in on this, because I never treat anybody different no matter what happens. Now, I will say, John, to your point, I do have choice certain conversations I can't have with people just because they just don't understand. And I'm not even going to get in that space because I'm not trying to make nobody feel bad about themselves. And honestly, on the flip side, there's been times that I've been so busy that it's almost like they would kind of like not check me in a way, but be like, oh, that's a little much, right? Like almost trying to bring me back into balance. So they could have the opposite talk with me, I think, because their life is so different. But at the end of the day, I think that this happens naturally. It doesn't matter whatever you're going to do when you grow up. You're not probably hanging out with the 4 to 5 people that, that you're talking to right now. So if you're in high school, you're in college, honestly, just check that. Like, it's not probably going to matter because you're going to end up taking a job somewhere or creating a business somewhere and stuff's going to happen. Now, if people are coming at you because you're successful, then that's really not about you unless you have actually changed and you think you're sweet and you ain't got to talk to nobody no more. But if you just treat everybody the way you always treated them and you're just living your life, then I think that's just what it is. Some people are going to get butt hurt over it, which is going to be the sadly mandatory part that John mentioned. I really think that new friends, or we'll call it acquaintances, are going to happen because the like-minded people in this space end up running into each other. That's why when people say, hey, have you met this person yet? Or have you met that person yet? No, but I will. They'd be like, we say that all confident because we will run into each other because we messing in the same circle. And there's only so many of us. Just the way it is. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that percentage is, 1%, 0.5%, whatever the hell it is, whatever that number is, you will end up running into each other because of that, right? Like-minded people just do that. And so I wouldn't get caught up on you're going to lose people along the way. I would just say, hey, I'm about to live my life. And if some people end up kind of making it through and I still am cool with them and I live by them or whatever, then that's good. And if not, you can't worry about it. I don't know. It just seems like reality, right?
Everything's part of the master plan. So if you lose somebody because they don't understand you, you were meant to lose them. If you gain new friends because they do understand you, bro, that's life. Life is evolution. Life is change. And this is typically the first step in it for someone who says, fuck it, I'm going to go after something. So this is very natural.
Yeah, great question, I think.
Because as you move forward and chase the things you really want, you only have so much time and energy for shit. You know what I'm saying?
Has anybody ever came to you, Mo, and been like, especially like right when you hit it kind of big initially and be like, ah, man, you fucking blew up. You forgot about me, blah, blah, blah. Anybody really come at you that way?
No, because I actually thought that I can keep everybody around me. I did the stupid shit, and I allowed to. Like, I thought, what they say, you can have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
I thought that everybody, I thought that I was like, fuck it, I'll bring the whole neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? And that shit doesn't work. You know, if a person is, it's just like this, man. Let's get down to that. If somebody isn't fucking helping you get to where you got to go, fuck it. It's just like, it's not a bad thing that the relationship has to end, but it has to end in order for you to become who you want to become.
They ain't going. There ain't no free rides, motherfuckers.
There's no free rides. Let me tell you like that. There we go. There's no free rides, and just because we're not around each other doesn't mean I hate you. And like, if a person says that to you, like, shut the fuck up. Like, leave me the fuck alone. You know what I mean?
John, have you had that kind of situation where somebody's actually directed that at you? Like accusing you of it?
Dude, I've had my family accuse me of that, bro. So like listen, it is hard to be someone who is self-motivated, who does not see limits. People do not understand it, and they never will.
Yeah.
So even my family has cast stones at me. But the one thing I'll say on the opposite side of it is, like, I have a friend from high school, right? I don't see him anymore, but I fucking love him.
Yeah.
His name is Steve. I look at him as like my best friend. We might talk once a year, but I love the guy. And he understands I'm on a mission, and I understand he's doing his thing. He's a union pipe fitter. God bless him. But like, I think it's possible to maintain that as long as both parties understand, hey, you do you, I support you, man, and I'm going to do me, you know? So I think that can be maintained, but it takes a very strong level of understanding between both parties.
My homeboy Todd's the same way. Like, super supportive, not a hater, always showing me love and back and forth. I probably see him a little bit more often than that. Like every time I swing home, I'll stop by and just holler at him real quick. He's still into working out, so we still have a lot in common, and it can happen, but it's not because there's no negativity from it. It's pure love. Like, agreed. Like I love him like a brother. Actually, my mom dated his dad for a long time. We thought we were about to be brothers. That's how we met, honestly. So for like 6 years, my mom dated his dad. So we literally thought we were about to be brothers. And so that's how our friendship kind of forged. But it's one of those things where it does exist, but we're talking about one person each. I mean,
right.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It's interesting, but I think that was really good insight. And I think that everybody's going to run into this that is listening, that if they haven't already ran into it, it's coming shortly if you're really going to push like you hear us here on the podcast. All right, John, the next question I want to start with you because it's basically you have referenced to yourself as one of the best sales guys that you know, correct? Is that correct?
I'm the best. I'm the best in the world.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And so the question was like, I'm trying to find his name real quick. Come on, G. Oh, yeah, here we go. Basically, what he was saying, because I still don't got it, was that how fast after a touch, like a sales touch, do you follow up? Like what in your mind is the best way to effectively do that? And honestly, I'll take it even one step further, Johnny, because I know you know this stuff well, is how to do it. Like what's too invasive, what's not too invasive, and I'd love to hear your take on that.
So obviously, because I look at this as a science, we're talking about a cold touch, right? Like
yeah,
a cold
I believe
call?
so. Yes.
Okay. So first off, if you can do your cold calls on Fridays, do them on Fridays. But if you have to do them every day, I understand that. But if you can do them on Fridays, I say do them on Fridays because it is human psychology that everyone is in a better mood on a Friday. So if you're making a cold touch, they are more apt to listen to you on a Friday, especially after lunchtime because they feel it, right? They feel the Saturday coming. So I would go there, right? But if you're making cold calls every day of the week, that's fine. There's a lot of jobs that do that. But back to my Friday spiel, every single follow-up touch must be a Friday. You have to do it on a Friday because you need every single fucking advantage in the world because there is nothing harder than building a relationship with somebody that you don't know and doesn't know you and views you as a flea buzzing around their ear. That's what a cold sales call feels like. So how are you going to take it from I am a flea buzzing around your ear to, all right, I'm Jimmy, this guy's okay. So what I would say is make the call on Friday and find common ground. So before you go into your, I want to sell you Verizon wireless service for your business because it's going to save you. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Okay. And here's what you need to do. You need to see, you guys are in Knoxville, Sheila. She's like, yeah, we're in Knoxville. Did you see the volunteers came this weekend? That was insane. And then you're going to hear
Yep.
a little bit of humanity in her voice. And she'll be like, yeah, that was a good game. And then for every single phone call you have something that you can find common ground with that individual on and loosen them up with that. Because once she gives you, yeah, that was a pretty crazy game. Boom, you broke down the wall. Now you're in. What are you going to do with it? So I could spend 2 hours on this whole process because it's a process of breaking down wall after wall and then getting to the DM, right? The decision maker. But that's how you do it. Use the Friday method, and then use the common ground method. And that requires research of geography.
Well, I got a comment first, and then I'm going to throw it to you, Reese. So John, what you're telling me is when I was at Muscle Farm, when you called me every Friday and asked me about my chest workout, you really didn't fucking care? Because I'm a little upset about that right now.
I did care, bro. Hey. I care. I'm a caring person. I'm a caring person.
He cared about making the sale.
I really thought you cared about my chest flies. All right, go ahead. Reese.
Okay, so I was so into what he was saying. What was the
So the original question's from American Aesthetics, and
Okay.
he said, "How soon do you follow up with a customer after pitching a sale?"
Oh, how soon do you follow up with a
Yeah.
customer? Ooh, yeah, that's probably more of a John question.
Yeah.
Because I've never really been into sales, and I don't really. I'll give you bad advice, you know what I mean. But if it's me, I'll just go until I get the shit done. You know, so that's my selling advice. John may be a master salesman. I'm just a master guy at like talking through no's, or just going and going and going and going until eventually I either sell you something or I get my way with something. So I don't really have a strategy.
Yours like
I just
you know how to navigate probably the relationship to get eventually to that point. Does that sound
Yeah,
about right?
obviously I'm doing some shit right, but I just yeah, obviously I do. I just got to feel on people, you know. So I think John hit the nose on the or hit the nail on the head, and when he said just understanding culture and geography and things of that nature that may help you. But I'm just a persistent motherfucker, so I just don't really have a process. You know what I mean? Like I just make up in my mind that I want something done, and I'm just usually working my own little plan based upon that situation. But I don't have a strategy. It's probably best to take John's information. No, I say this with all seriousness. I say if he takes John information and he applies it, and it either works or doesn't work, he can always come back to John to get feedback from it. But if he asks me some shit, I give him bogus advice. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, it's. I mean, that's why there's the three of us, right? And I don't really like pride myself on crazy sales, but I have kind of a few things that I do after I meet or talk to somebody about a sale, or a lot of the things that I've so-called sold over time was selling through. People like to know, like, and trust you. That's something I heard early on. And the way that I've sold most of the products that have been involved or around me is usually because through, practitionership, through just the trust of that person from a time period, usually social media wise or content wise. And so like, I always had this like, and I love John's common ground thing because I think I do that naturally. I don't know if I knew I was doing that, but it's like, it's funny because when I read things or hear things, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I did do that, but I didn't like know I was doing that. That just seemed like the easiest way to get it done. Meaning like, I felt like if I had a common ground and this person liked me, then they probably would want to do business with me, right? I always felt like if they could understand what I'm going to put into this, they understand a little bit of my background. Like I always, and I don't know if it's good, bad, or different, but in a lot of business meetings, I would look for a way to bring up just a piece of my background just to let them know. Like not to tell them the sob story, not to tell them about pushing snow off the trailer ceiling so it don't fall in, but like to let them know just a little bit, just to like get like that, just break down that wall of like respect and like, oh, okay, this dude just wasn't given everything. Like he worked to be here, that type of stuff. I think also one thing I like to do is a lot of times, man, I'll be meeting with somebody and I might be sending them an email in the fucking elevator on the way down. Hey, great to meet you. Here's my info. Look forward to working with you. Like I follow up, so I don't forget relatively quick, not with a call or text, but usually on an email. If I don't hear anything in, let's say 24 hours, then I will hit them with a call or a text or something like that. Because I believe that the relationship takes time, but I think people need to know that you're on it. I think I want people to have like, it depends on the person and the personality and how much time you got. But I have yet to not achieve, for the most part, a relationship with somebody, whether in a sales environment or just like something I know that we could work cohesively long term that could benefit both of us, if I just do and operate in that manner and it's just worked for me for a long period of time. I think it was Andrew Carnegie wrote about the attractive personality. I think that people want to be around people that are positive, that work hard, that you can count on, and that do what they say they're going to do. And honestly, I try to project that because that's how I try to attempt to live my life, and people want to be associated with that. I honestly think that's my sales strategy. So it's really not a strategy; it's a life strategy. But I don't know. Johnny, you're the sales guy. What do you think?
Yeah.
I would just add one more thing. So I'm kind of approaching this maybe in a different way. In someone who's trying to make it, making cold touches and cold calls. I think one more important thing is to be self-deprecating, because obviously when you are touching these people and they hear from you 4 or 5 times, they don't know who you are, and frankly, you are not on their agenda, you are annoying them. You have to be self-deprecating and acknowledge the fact.
Excuse
that
me, real
you
quick.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the hell self-deprecating means.
John's blowing these big words up over here now.
Yeah. So self-deprecating means like this, Mo. Hey, Sheila, is John again, and I know you think I'm annoying, but I love you. I am probably annoying, Sheila. I am probably annoying, but hey, I'm trying to do my best not to be, but I know what we got for you is just going to save you so much money. I'm probably annoying as fuck, Sheila, but here's the deal. You know what I'm saying? So
Make fun of
basically,
yourself.
you make her laugh. Yeah, you got to make fun of yourself.
My favorite one, I've used it for years, is when I'm blowing somebody up, I always leave this voicemail. Yo, I know I'm blowing you up like an ex-girlfriend. I get it. But you got to get back to me. And do it every time they call me back. Every time, Reese. Every time. Because they're like,
it's acknowledgement of how they feel. Anytime you acknowledge someone and you basically predict how they're going to feel, then then they can act.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. But
you helped me out.
So Reese, you can steal both those if you need.
I steal everything.
But what I like, John, though, is you gave the very literal cold touch, because you were more used to going through multiple type of sales stuff, where my stuff was always a little bit slower and a little bit less hey, can I make the sale right now? It was more a longer type of thing. So I don't have that format like you did, which that's what I was excited to hear about.
It's halftime. Hey, yo, it's halftime.
All right, it's halftime, Johnny. I know that watch, that your wrist is looking good, John Fosco. Is that correct? I was daydreaming today, and I was thinking John is walking around with this amazing wristwatch.
Well, first off, my wrist always looks good because it's as thick as a cinder block. Number one, okay. My wrist always looks
such
good.
An Italian stud.
Okay, so that's a fact right there. But the best part about it is this: when I go to VinceroCollective.com, I know that every one of those beautiful watches that I can dress up formally and dress down casually, they will fit around my cinder block. And when I wear them, every single human being, whether it be male or female, will be staring at my wrist. They will be hypnotized by the quality and the beauty and the craftsmanship of a Vincero watch, Corey.
The craftsmanship is good, and here's the key: is that the watches start about $139. I've already seen the listeners here at Business and Biceps start to tag me, showing me their ice on IG, which is dope. And you know what they also said? They're tagging me and saying, "Hey, Corey, thanks for the promo code. I listen to Business and Biceps, and you gave me a promo code that's Biceps, which is an epic promo code, John.
Yes!
So they get 15% off at, once again, Vincero. I'm going to spell that for you. VINCERO collective.com/biceps. And once again, the code for 15% off is Biceps. Get that icy watch. Let's go. All right. Next, John Fosco. I know that you eat tons of flounder. That's what I heard you. I heard you talk about it multiple times, that you love flounder. You eat flounder. You deep fry flounder. Did you buy that? Did you buy it at shop.bstseafood.com?
Listen, just because you
Flounder.
deep fry Oreos in Ohio
I do deep fry Oreos.
It does not, and Twinkies, does not mean I deep fry flounder. Now, what I do, number one, is I actually have a walkie-talkie, right? And
walkie-talkie.
I get on my walkie-talkie and it goes, dee-dee, and I say, Mike Scola. And he gets out of the water and he's like, what do you need, Johnny? I said, Mikey, I need 22 fucking lobsters delivered fresh to my door tomorrow by 2.
They better be the monsters. They better be the
He
monsters.
says, Johnny, it's 4 degrees in the Boston Harbor. It's snowing. It's covered in ice. But I will dive in right now and I will get you 22 lobsters so you can have the leanest, meanest form of protein, because you have to support that body that has cinder block wrists. You have to do that. He says, I will do that for you. I will box up the lobsters. One of them we will name Stevie, because that's been previously discussed. And then I will send them to you. They will arrive at 2 p.m. tomorrow. And I want to look at your abs, because I know this protein is lean and mean. And I am the reason you have cinder block wrists and washboard abs. And I'll say, Mike Scola, you are correct. And everyone needs to go to shop.bstseafood.com, because I believe, Corey,
Yes.
I believe they could send Mike into the harbor and also get a discount. How do they get that discount, and what is it?
Promo code John Fosco is BIZBIS 15 for 15% off. And that's, once again, if you want fresh East Coast seafood delivered to your door overnight. And if you order on a Monday, it'll be there on Tuesday by 10:30 in the morning. Shop.bstseafood.com. And lastly, you must try out the Max Crispy Treat. For anybody that's even just general health and fitness, you're going to need a healthy snack that tastes like your grandma's Rice Krispie treats she made when you were a kid, but it's got protein and it's healthy, and you must try it at maxeffortmuscle.com. But if you're already there and you want to build a stack, any 3 products for $100, and John Fosco will throw in a free t-shirt, and any 5 products for $160, and I will throw in a free t-shirt. And that's the way you build a stack, John, with a sack.
And listen, with the Max Crispy Treat, you guys have to dip it in milk. It will literally, you will say to yourself, wait, all these other guys making this pasty ass protein bar bullshit have one thing. This is not a protein bar. This is a Max Crispy Treat with 20 grams of protein. I can chop it up and use it as cereal. I can dip it in milk like a great cookie, and it's healthy for me. How the fuck is this healthy for me? And the answer is, it's a secret. It's a business secret of ours, but it is healthy for you, and we promise we will continue to provide you with this amazing product.
So order your fish, get your watch, and eat your protein.
Yes.
Rock and roll. Let's go back to the show.
Let's go.
It's halftime. Hey, yo, it's halftime.
Our boy Mike Falcone, he's got kind of a long question, but I'm going to sift through it real quick. He said he has tons of great ideas. His head's constantly like working between school, work, money, like situations, training, everything in his life. It seems like he's having a hard time like balancing to take on a project, to work on an idea. And like, it's almost like he's got so much going on that to become successful is like overwhelming, and he's just trying to figure out how to like overall like just process it. It sounds like, and I've actually met a lot of people like this. I'd like to hear you weigh on it first, Maurice, because I think that some people are like so pumped about wanting to be successful, but they can't even organize their thoughts, which comes back to another Carnegie point, to like really even like go after it.
Oh, it's, man, first, soon as you start saying it, I've been there before, but you know how I get it? Go back to the vision board. Boom.
There you go. There you go.
Once you figure out where you want to be and what you want to become, boom, that's like the final destination. Like, this is my final destination. This is what I'm trying to do. And reverse engineer everything else. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, like, when my thoughts are scrambled, the first thing I do, I say, okay, what are you aiming at? And oftentimes you'll have these great ideas, but you have to get into sequential order. Like, in order for me to get here or do this, you know, maybe I need to cut this out and just focus on this so I can sew this thing up or tie this thing up, right? When I have a million things going on, like I got shit going on next week that I'm not going to worry about. It's in the air. It's on the board. I know it exists. I know I have to plan for it. But what I'm doing right now, like, it's really, like, to be honest with you, it's like real fucking elementary, right? So my little girl is in school. She's fucking 11 years old. She's in the 7th grade, right? They give classes. They say, hey, this is when you should plan to do your homework. This is when you should start your homework. This is when you should complete it. This is when it's done, right? And so from this private school, I see how they're structuring kids to basically take care of their stuff and handle business. And a lot of her structure is kind of like my vision board structure. Like, you're structuring your life with elementary principles, and literally just breaking everything down to task. And like, you got all these things going on. Like they say, aimless thoughts are vice. If your mind's everywhere, if your actions are everywhere, you'll never fucking feel progress. You'll never move forward. You'll never feel like you're moving forward, because you'll just be running around like a man in the field, putting out a bunch of small fires. You know what I'm saying? And you may be paying your rent. You may be alive. You may be able to feed yourself, but you may not feel like you're making progress just because you're just running around like putting fires out, or just doing stuff, or you're active. And like, just, I see more people active than anything else. But to kind of help him out, I would believe it's just like, okay, let me grab a vision board, right? And let me quit worrying about everything, and let me worry about these few things that gets me to this end destination, and see how these things line up, and see what makes sense. But you just can't have your energy divided everywhere. That's just, my just personal opinion.
Go, Johnny.
Corey, can you reread real quick just his question, just so I can hit it right?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me dip back to it real quick. The basics of it is that he's got, here it is, Johnny. He said, I'm going to read it in its entirety. Hey, Corey, I have a good question that hopefully you guys could answer. I have so many great ideas flowing in my head constantly, but between school, work, money, situation, training, and everything else going on in my life, it's hard for me to find the balance and project all the great ideas and put them into work. How can I find a balance so I can become successful, more positive, and overall better me? So it sounds like to me like he's kind of scrambled on, how to just go.
Okay. So I'm saying this out of love. Let me preface it. But you're telling yourself excuses, dude. Like you're lying to yourself. Like that. Like this is out of love. You're lying to yourself. Don't ever tell yourself, I have so many great ideas. I have so many. Dude, listen. Your idea ain't shit until it's a great idea. And a great idea is proven. So if you really believe you have a great idea, motherfucker, pursue it. Like balance in life is not that difficult, right? We all wake up at a certain time and we all go to bed at a certain time. And I think we're lying to ourselves if there's no TV or there's no video games or there's no happy hour. It's like, if you believe you have these great ideas, find out if they are great ideas by picking one, by picking the best idea and pursuing it. So if you watch an hour of TV a night, okay, that's 7 hours a week. Pursue that idea for 7 hours a week. It may not sound like a lot, but 7 hours a week will develop an idea to find out if it is good. We all have life. Life brings us family challenges, friend challenges, business challenges. And if you look at, like people who are successful, they do multiple things. But what they don't do is say, oh, I have all these great things I can do and all these great ideas, but I just can't find time to do them. No. Finding the time to do them in a structured manner is why they are successful. So I don't want you to jump the gun on crowning yourself by saying, I have all these great ideas. That's your first mistake. You got to check yourself a little bit on that, because nobody knows they have great ideas. I will never say I have a great idea until it's been proven to be great. And to this day, I don't even know if I've ever had a great, I've had some good ideas, But here's what you got to do. Just humble yourself a little bit and then grab the idea you think is best and give me 7 hours a week on it and check back in with us in a month and stop giving yourself the excuse that you don't have time, because you and everyone else on the planet does have time. And again, this is out of love.
Hey, you motherfucking got some shit in your coffee, don't you?
Hey, I'm
This motherfucker's on there.
That's true though, Johnny,
I was
because
taking notes.
it's easy for somebody to just say, man, there's just so many awesome things going on in my head. It's so hard to pick one. When in reality, you're just basically tying yourself up, because a lot of people are just kind of scared to go after the one or two that you think could be a good idea and work. And literally at the end of the day, it's not a great or even good idea until it's putting motherfucking money in your pocket, or it's actually like making some type of thing happen in a space that you're with a goal. So my thing is like the organization of your thoughts. It's a chapter that I go back to a lot from Carnegie. It has a lot to do with how people can operate a little bit more efficiently. And I think it's one thing. Like, I didn't really have any type of success until I said, I have to drive this one thing home first. And for me, the first thing was personal training. I have to drive personal training to a certain level, to as many hours as this. If I have to give stuff away for free, if I got to have them bring a friend, however it is, I got to drive that home. Once I got that to a certain point, then it was like, now it was diverting from personal training in the gym to online. I was doing that shit in 2006. I was way ahead of everybody else on that tip. And then going into supplementation, the same type of thing. I was able, when I was doing a little bit of this and doing a little bit of that, it never worked. And now that I have a bigger skill set, I can multitask better. But in the beginning, you got to drive that. Like, Maurice, you did football, bro. And that's it. Like, you were the best at it because that's what you did. Johnny, when you were selling memberships, no one was better than you, right? Like, in personal training, I believed I was best in the city, even I was so young. Like, I really think that you got to find out of that idea pool that you believe you have, identify that one, organize your thought process, and fucking murder that one, because that is the one.
Yes,
you know what I mean? So I think that was good. All right. I like doing Q&A, man, because honestly, you just really never know what's kind of coming.
But
you know what I'm saying?
The benefit of it, man, is it's what people want to hear. And this is the sort of dynamic that we had when we did the live show and people were asking questions. And I don't know, I like it too. It's more them than us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's way different. And I like the we went from sales to like, marketing to like relationship stuff. Here's one actually I'm gonna bring up and I'm gonna answer first. I'll throw it to you guys. It's at John Shizizi. Oh, I might have messed that up. Here's the deal. He said he's trying to innovate his parents' mom and pop shop with touchscreen, customer view and inventory a different way, but he has like zero idea on how to do the IT. And he like wants a suggestion on how to implement new technology. And when I read this, I've seen John on social media for a while. And I just read it like, you're just not doing enough. I'm just not trying to be a dick, but you're just really not doing enough research. So like, there's no way that I would know more or we would know more than you would about your family business. The amount of, information that's probably out there on that technology, it's a Google or 10 Google searches away, or it's drive to another city to see it going on in person on how you want to do it. I just think that question to me was, you're not spending enough time. You got to get off your butt and go probably be uncomfortable to learn what you think you want to do for this business. It's easy to just say something, but it's really hard to go actually execute it. And so that's the one thing I've noticed is the complete difference for a lot of people that I know that do well is I've heard all kinds of motherfuckers tell me what they're going to do. But see, the difference between me, and I'll speak for me and you guys do the same thing, but is I go and do it. And I've always done that. And so the people that used to question me never question me anymore. they start to say, well, shit, if he says it, they start believing it now because they know it, even if I shoot real high and it doesn't happen exactly, I'm going to be in the fucking ballpark of that execution of what I want, because when I put my mind to it and I drive home that one thing, I'm going to go kill it. So my answer to that is, dude, you ain't even like started the process yet. Implement the new shit. Once you figure it out, implement it. Like, there's not even a question. If that's what you think is going to make the business grow, you just go. I don't even know how else to answer it.
There we go. Go. Said it. I told you. Look, I got my little pen and I'm taking notes over here. Right?
Yeah, I got you. Reese. He's just saying that he's, wants to innovate his parents' mom and pop shop, like with touchscreen inventory, and basically like take it to the next level. I'm not sure what type of business it is, but he was like, do you have an idea on how the IT or suggestions on implementing new technology? I just don't think there's really like a process other than just fucking
figuring it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not. There's a few things. There's a few questions that just got brought up that I'm not an expert in, and technology is definitely not one of them. That's why I drive a fucking hour away just to do the podcast.
We tried it, Reese. We tried it.
Yeah, we tried. I'm not the technology master, but I think that's it. Just fucking figuring it out and making it happen. I think that's most of life. Like you don't have to have a skill set or expertise. Just whatever you're trying to do, just figure it out. Or you know what you can do? Fucking go to YouTube. Anything I don't know how to do, I'm telling you, anything I don't know how to do, and I have the time to learn, I just go to YouTube and just try to like type it in the search bar, and hopefully that assists you, John.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're seeing for a second time is I love the fact that people are coming to us and want to learn. But man, I would just love to talk to this guy and say, well, first off, what does take it to the next level even mean? I mean, are you talking about an IT upgrade of a business? Dude, if you want to upgrade your IT, fucking Google it. And find a local IT company and then upgrade your IT. But if you think that's the key to taking the business to the next level, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but it's not. That is not the key, right? If you guys are killing it and you're having these cash overflows and you need to find better ways to batch credit cards, and okay, that then I hear you, man. This will help you organize that and have your cash flow
operations.
Yeah, dude. But like, if you think that is what takes a business to the next level, I don't know enough about the situation, but it feels to me a bit off. It feels like
John,
yeah.
Let me say,
just action.
Can I say something real quick? It just really brought me to something I'm living, right? So, in the world that I live in, with the mental health and drug and alcohol treatment, right? You have a bunch of clinicians who do direct service, and they have to write notes. And now, in 2018, most people have computers and laptops, and they have some sort of either Wi-Fi where they're staying at, or they have some sort of little device that allows them to get Wi-Fi, right? And will we operate better if every single clinician, we have 135 people and probably 90 people doing direct service? Will we operate better if we had everybody with a laptop and all that stuff? Yes, but does that take the business to the next level? No. The only thing that takes the business to the next level is when you increase the bottom line and shit that does that, and either if that's sales or that's what takes it off, obviously, to the next level. Like, and I get what you're saying, John. You're saying don't think that's the end all of everything of getting your business to the next level. It will, and maybe he phrased the question wrong. I don't know. I don't want to beat the guy up, but it'll definitely make operations better. It'll make things smoother. But for the time
on that situation, I think it's a great thing you bring up, because it's like, okay, if it's easier to submit these notes through everyone having company-owned laptops,
yes,
it's like, get everybody together. Okay, guys, here's our goal. If we do this is going to create the revenue. Let's say this goal will create an additional $400,000 in revenue. Now, as the CEO of the fucking Red Zone, if we make this extra $400,000, I promise you, I'm going to take 100,000 of it and get all you guys laptops so you could submit your notes more efficiently. But we got to do this as a team because the business cannot afford to just take a hit like that when we could be submitting it, manually. So
what you said has been done. And I told them we'll do it in the summer. So just the fact that we're doing so much right now, and in the summertime when some people have breaks from schools and we have the space and the time to do it because there's actually a training that has to go on and everything like that. We're actually going to do it. You know what I mean? But it like just, will it take the business to the next level? No. It'll make operations better to make them, you won't have to drive down to the office to hand in paperwork and, we'll be able to file things completely different. But 100% what you just said, we plan on doing this summer.
Right. Makes sense.
Hey, so I think I got the great last question to kind of tie this up to Q&A. It's from @NH3. He said, "You guys talk about what motivates you and how your past struggles drive you to be successful. Once you've reached success, as you all have in one way or another, how do you overcome the natural tendency or plateauing? If you have business recognition, economic freedom for your family, it must be hard at times to keep grinding like you did when it all started." I'll start with you, John.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I have a quote in front of me, and it says, "The lucky ones are those who get to a point of such desperation where they realize that the pain of not changing is far greater than the pain required to change." Okay, so I think the three of us are products of that quote. So when you're a product of a quote like that, of we had to change because there would be such pain if there was not a change, you can never remove that from me. Mm-hmm. You can never remove that from me. That's as much a part of John Fosco as my left arm is. So I could give a fucking shit what my bank account says. That is simply a scorecard. Everything in my being that drives me is progress. And while we're playing the business game, progress is my driver. So there isn't a destination until I choose to hang it up. So that feeling at the beginning, right, where there was no money in my checking account, the only difference now is, okay, there's money in it, but I just look at it as a scorecard. It doesn't define me. I feel secure, but security isn't why I do what I do. I do what I do because I have a drive that's insatiable. It's unstoppable. And it's because of my experiences that I went through in the past that I will never, ever forget or take for granted. So the answer to the question is, man, you can't remove what happened to me from me, and that will continue to drive me till the day I decide to hit brakes.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, well, I feel like this. You definitely drunk your fucking coffee, my man.
I thought that was a Tyson line for a second. You said, like, my drive is sensational. My thing is impeccable. I thought that's what I was going to come, but go ahead. Sorry.
I thought he was going there.
I'm just messing with you. Go ahead, Reese.
Yeah, no, I think for the most part, I think he just hit the nail on the head. And I'll sum it up just a bit different. The degree of what's inside of an account just is not connected to the person. You know, the account grows from just people just doing what they do. And the money is not the main driver behind the behavior, you know, and I think that if you want to hear it more intelligently, you can just rewind what John just said. But I don't like, you know, the fact that I have more money, we have more employees, that doesn't like, I'm going to rest on whatever success that I've had or what I have going on. It's just not the deal. And I also think that once you have success, and even like John says, you have money start to grow. You start to understand that that's the process. You know what I mean? And no matter how you feel, you understand what needs to be done to either maintain that process or to maintain that level of progress or growth. And so once again, John separates maybe how he feels from what needs to be done. And he's created the habits. And it's the same thing with me. And I can imagine with Corey to a large degree, but I don't know. I think just like even when you hear those questions, you can understand where somebody's perspective is at, and as they live and as you grow and as you start to have more success, I think the perspective will eventually shift over, kind of like where John is at and where I'm at, and you start to realize that the money isn't the main motivating factor; it's just a byproduct of like you working your ass off or you being yourself. And correct me if I'm wrong, John, but that's kind of like what you said. Like that becomes like the thing that naturally comes from just me being who the fuck I am, and I'm going to continue to be who the fuck I am just because I'm that person.
Right.
And it's not because it is not because I want the money. Like I want money because I want to do business. I want to do well in business, but the money isn't the motivating factor. Me getting better as an individual and working my ass off because that's what I know keeps me at my best. Keeps me in the best space to be the best person I could possibly be. That's the main thing. And so even with me, just think, getting up in the morning, working my ass off, lifting weights, staying focused, reading, staying sober, staying away from bullshit people, working my ass off just because I know that keeps me in like my prime optimal space. Oh, by the way, I have a bunch of fucking success in business too. That's what keeps me going. So it's not really the money. It's not like, hey, you get somewhere and some magical number comes up and I think some people have like those like fucking infomercial realities. They think like, oh, you get a bunch of money, you go to a bunch of beaches, you get on a bunch of planes, and like that. Like I got a Ferrari and the Lamborghini. I'm on fucking South Beach or in the Bahamas somewhere, and they think like that happens. Once you get a bunch of money, but the majority of people don't do that shit. The majority of people who are super successful, they still fucking working to maintain that success and grow it.
My thing is that I'm going to be real honest with you guys is I'm afraid for it to go away. I honestly think the reason why I am is because I never want it to be like that again. I was so pissed off when I made that decision to change like what I thought would be, just the way everybody perceived things, hopefully family-wise. I'm scared to let it go back that way. I mean, I think I've already got it so far in the one area that it won't. But at the end of the day, things can go away just as fast as they got there. And I seriously think that once I understood what it took, I'm afraid to not keep that level at a certain level because I just never want to live check to check. I never want to have financial stress on my relationship with my wife or my family. I saw these things deteriorate my family in front of my eyes as a kid. And I just made a pact with myself that no question, it's nice to have a financial freedom to a certain extent. But that was at the end of the day, like the work on a daily basis, like people, that's probably one of the biggest questions I get from people that are acquaintances of me that understand what's going on. Why are you still pushing so hard, bro? Why you still want to diet? Why won't you eat carbs on until Saturday? Or why you still
those people got the loser mentality.
Yeah, no, but it's the truth, right? Because they don't understand it. But it literally is out of I'm afraid that it would, and I don't think it could even possibly, but that's okay. If that's what keeps me on the straight and narrow for a longer period of time, that's it. And I've talked about this other times, but not maybe this in depth, but that is the fucking truth. I talked about this on the podcast that we're going to redo coming up here soon, but it's like that line that I draw of discipline, I'm afraid to waver on it too much because I realize that you can go on each side a little bit, but that line's what did it for me. And if I can stay on that line, it could never go back. And honestly, I don't think it'll ever even be in the ballpark of that for anybody that's in my bloodline if I have anything to do with it. And that's what keeps me this way. And I think that I've found a way to keep myself engaged through certain things that, we're going to go over in future podcasts that work for me. And I keep them, in front of me, whether it's a vision board, whether it's quotes, whether it's music, there's these things that I do that keep me close to that line as possible, setting goals for myself, doing things that I love to do. And it's like that's it. That's what it is. And I think that I just identified so early on what I never wanted for myself that I'm afraid to let it happen. That's it. That's why I'm like this.
That's nuts. I would have never thought that you was afraid to lose it.
I am. I don't know that it would actually. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like I can process it rationally, Reese, but that's the truth. Like I just.
But you feel. I mean, you feel that way. Can like understand how disciplined you are and how much control you have over what you do. You still like think that way.
I don't know, or I just the theory of it. Maybe it helps. You know what I mean? I don't.
Here's the thing, Cora. Here's the thing, Cora. I actually, I mean, to a certain, I would phrase it differently, but when I look at like big, successful business people, like billionaires, the majority of them made a fuck ton of money, then went bankrupt. Like they lost it all, and then they made the money again. So this game we play, depending on how we play it, can be the most rewarding and most dangerous. So like I'm not afraid to lose it, but I'm aware of the fact that it can go as fast as it comes.
So the way that I think I process it more is like I know how I got here, and so for me to change how I operate because I think I made it, then it could potentially lose it. I think that's maybe the way that it works in my head. I don't know.
I think different. Like I don't want to say I think past it, but the reason I don't worry about it because I say, hey, I'm going to do things that stick. That no matter if Maurice Claretta is operating at his optimal level or at a lower level, like I do things that stick, and that's why I'm like so big of a fucking real estate fan. And I say, you know, let me just put things in my life that build security. From a financial standpoint, and it's not like things in real estate couldn't go bad, but that's sort of like my end game to end up owning a shit ton of real estate that obviously take care of me and I can pass on to my family. That's what I don't really think. I don't even think like that. I just always believe like I'm gonna just work my ass off for whatever I want, and if you work your ass off, that's the like I don't think like that.
I think the working your like working my ass off has got me here, right? So I guess what I'm saying is, if I'm not working my ass off,
it goes away.
I don't really know any other way.
But does
that make sense?
Yeah, but like I don't see you never not working your ass off.
Exactly. Well, that's the point. That's why I don't, Reese.
but here's the thing. Here's the thing. The way business is done has changed so severely in the past 15 years. Now, what does that mean? That means that in the next 15 years, it's going to change just as severely. So certain skill sets that can produce wealth and make money, right? Like they have to adapt. Yep. So hard work, I think we all agree, is what gets you to the promised land. But you have to be prepared to say, oh shit, the way I did it before and stack chips is not the way I can do it now. So I have to be ready to evolve. So yeah, I mean, fear is one thing. Yeah, Mo, I don't fear it. I'm just aware of it. So I like to take actions. So if something does shift, I'm protected. The way I look at it is like, okay, I'm my own castle. I want to build a moat around myself in case someone wants to fucking rush my castle, and I'll put my arches up on that bitch. I'll start poking them in the head,
But like I said, I don't even think about that shit, man. I have no thought of anything ever going bad. And I think it may come from me that like post prison, I started from nothing. So like, it just doesn't bother me to get back in that space, go to that space, start from ground zero. And it doesn't even process in my head. And like, I just understand the science real clear. Like, let me get up off my ass. Let me work. Let me get some money. Let me take this money and flip it and turn it to some more money. Take this money, flip it again, turn it to something else. And eventually from an investment standpoint. And I think like my security blanket, like, some people diversify themselves and they have a portfolio, and then they'll have real estate. But my thing is literally, I just plan to own real estate. I just really think that that'll be a way to my future. I drive around Columbus and I look at these massive apartment complexes where you have a few hundred units here, a few hundred units there, and I just dream to myself. I say, okay, these things maybe producing between $800 to $1,500 depending upon the area. And I said, hey, I would love to own these properties or spaces like this one day, and that's just like my ultimate end when it comes to it. And just really starting to stack those things up. And, I don't plan on dying anytime soon.
No, man. I do the same. I do the same shit. I got some spots in Florida that I bought when the economy went to. I'm sorry, when the real estate market went bust in fucking 2010 and 2011, and it's the smartest shit I ever did. So I see that. But here's a question I have for you. Are you at peace with the idea of the possibility that shit could go south fast, and like, okay, if this happens, if some regulations or something mess with the red zone or mess with your dream, and I had to boom, hit the bottom again. I know you don't think that, but like anything in life is a possibility. Do
Yes.
you ever think to prepare for, like, are you at peace with that thought?
Yeah, I don't. It just doesn't even cross my mind like at all. And
Okay.
just like this, right? So, like, just look at this, right? Like, just say something catastrophic happened, and say it was outside of my control. I got enough people around who I've done right by that I can go and say, hey, this is what went on in this situation. I've created enough good relationships in my life that I can move forward or rebound or bounce back up. And that just goes from building character, building relationships, working your ass off, people seeing you. And they say, okay, just imagine when fucking 2008 comes, right? And you had that crazy ass crash. Like, how many billionaire dudes you think called their homeboy up, was like, yo, the business I was working or what I was doing was fucked up because of this financial crisis or Bernie Madoff or whatever, right? But you may understand your dude's a fucking hustler. He'll get it back, right? Hey, let me use a million to dive off into this other thing that I never really entertained, but I know I can hustle and make something of it. I bet you a fucking $1 million, a lot of that shit happened. You know what I'm saying? Because dudes are just trying to get back. And so I just would like to believe that I've formulated some good relationships in my life and through my time and consistently, like, here we go. Corey's next to me, right? So if Corey was like, yo, like, for whatever reason, the fucking government just came and shut down all fucking supplements, right? Whatever reason, you know what I'm saying? Right. And Reese, I want to get into business X, whatever it is. And like from that business being shut down, it just fucked up my income and fucked up my savings and whatever it was. Yo, Reese, you still rocking and rolling. Let me use something so I can get back. Like, based upon this guy rocking and rolling, doing business, getting off his ass every day, his intelligence, I know he has it. So I think I built those safeguards with relationships, you know what I'm saying, just by being good to people. I think also I just know that I'll always work my ass off because I just don't understand nothing different. Like, I just don't I don't get it. And I think the third part of that is just that I'll always aim to get towards real estate because I always say to myself, like I'll get older one day and I don't want to hustle and you don't want to run around as much. You know what I'm saying? And so I would love for the real estate that I get to produce an income over my life, but I think it works in two ways. And then, so now, they're going to put me, you, and Corey in the box one day, right? But when it's that time, now your kids are not starting at a fucking huge deficit. You know what I'm saying? Right. You have resources to build upon to be your blanket and something that you can pass on into your family. And if that real estate produces and births more business for them, cool. But that's what would make my life mean something. That's what brings me security. And I don't ever think about like play this. When I used to play football, I never fucking thought about somebody beating me. Like, I just didn't even think that somebody can beat me, right? I remember me and Corey was lifting weights one time. He was like, Reese, I was watching you lift the weights, right? He's like, you don't even think about what you can lift or not lift. I'd just be like, no, like, just put the fucking weight on the bar. And if I think I can do it, it's just that fucking simple. I think I can do it. I don't even think about, like, I'm telling you, I have a meeting at 2:00. Nothing in my head is thinking about the meeting going wrong. Like, I don't know if that's like a gift. I don't know if it's crazy. I just
is a gift. No, that is a gift. And that's ultimately confidence, because I don't know if that's birth of genetics or you're so prepared. I would probably say a combination of both, because I definitely share that trait with you. I'm so confident that sometimes it could be to my detriment, but I'll never walk into a place and worry about it and think, what if it does not go right? Because two things: I'm confident, I know I'm supposed to be in that motherfucking room, and I prepared to get there. So, I think it's a combination of genetic and preparation, but hey, everyone's different.
Johnny, I stole the mic off Reese. I busted into the booth.
Ooh.
Because there's no way that I'm going to let my mic drop my literal mic drop, mess up this podcast because the podcast can't be stopped, John. I know you're aware of that.
Corey Gregory, the podcast can't
Can't be stopped.